is Hobbs Horror back here with you. And this is the most anticipated review, I think, that I've had from people. And a movie that I've been wanting to watch based on the fact that I had never heard of it. And when I told people I'd never heard of it, people looked at me like I was out of my mind, respectfully and comedically. And the movie that I'm talking about, folks, is Soylent Green. Soylent Green came out in 1973 on May the 9th. Directed by Richard Fleischer, starring Carlton Heston, Lee Taylor Young, Chuck Connors, Joseph Cotton, Brock Peters, Paula Kelly, and of course the great Edward G. Robertson. Edward G. Robinson, unfortunately this was his last film. He did pass away shortly after the film, which we'll get to that later. This movie gets a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Some people consider this to be the, if not the one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. Again, one that I have never heard of in my life. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect. Now, the film takes place in basically New York City, and there's a food shortage, and people are homeless, and it's like chaotic. It's almost like a post-apocalyptic scene, and there's a company that's providing food to people, the Soylent Corporation. And what they're doing is they're providing food rations to people as people are living in, like, multiple people to a home, people stacked up on stairs, post-apocalyptic. So they're providing people food. Soylent Green, Soylent Red, yellow, blue, different types of Soylent. And what they are is they're like wafers, right? So they're having different effects on people as they eat them. People aren't getting enough of them. And people are just downright going crazy. So because of what's happening, people start to riot in the town. And because of the Soylent Corporation is passing out foods, people are just rioting because they're just getting fed up with the way things are in the city. And meanwhile, the corporation executive basically is killed in the process. And Charlton Heston's job is to basically investigate, because he is a detective. And he has a sidekick, Edward G. Robinson, who also helps try to figure out what's going on. So he's kind of going undercover a little bit, trying to figure out what's happening with, one, the communication, why there was a murder. Let's just say the communication between the company, the people out in the streets, to figure out exactly what's happening. So basically at this point, the Soylent Corporation has lost their executive. People are getting food rations out in the middle of the road. People are being disorderly, so people are being hauled off in dump trucks and killed and dealt with. Let's just put it that way. Very post-apocalyptic feel to it. And the premise basically is Charlton Heston has to figure out what's going on. There are many options in the film. You can, if you are fed up with the way things are going, you can do a self-euthanization, which I thought was absolutely crazy. But it wouldn't surprise me if something like that would ever happen in the world. I think you can already do that now, actually, in some countries. At one point, one of the characters decides to get a self-euthanization in the film, towards the end of the film, and it was very, very atmospheric, almost like an IMAX theater type feel to it. But because of that particular scene, we get more of a climactic ending and figuring out more and more what's happening with the Soylent Green Company. And I will not spoil it, I will not give details, but let me give you my thoughts on the film. Going into this, the first 30 minutes, I was thinking this was going to be like, just keeping it real with you guys, I thought it was going to be kind of boring. And I did love the camaraderie between the characters. I love Saul. I think Saul, in the first 30 minutes of the film, made me be more invested in the film. You know? And I don't know, it just, it had an effect on me, this movie. Um, but Robert and Saul's relationship was just fantastic in the film. And as you'll see towards the end of the film, there's a couple of scenes that really get to you emotionally. There's scenes towards the end of the film that makes you almost want to tear up. There's films that make you feel uncomfortable. Parts of the film, I keep saying films, sorry. Parts of the film make you feel uncomfortable. There's even some comedical scenes in the film, but the build-up towards the end was the biggest payoff. The last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie was absolutely stunning. So I am so glad I watched this. I want to thank Karen over at Ocean Chick Films. I watched her review. She had a couple of community members on. I watched that as well. And it was just really insightful. I watched her review while I was watching the movie. I want to thank everybody's suggestion on recommending this movie to me. To me, this movie gets an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was going to be slow burn. I thought it was going to be boring, but man, the payoff was so good. Very atmospheric. It was shot very well. The acting was brilliant. And for all intents and purposes, this movie was fucking terrifying. Let's just leave it at that. And I'm not saying, like, because of the gore. It just has a feel on you. It's a movie that leaves you with emotion. And that's why I think it's terrifying. But absolutely fantastic. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for the community for recommending this to me. Catch up with you guys later. This is Hobbs. Go watch Soylent Green. Peace.